The grand ballroom of the Ritz-Carlton sparkled with the who's who of the medical world. Surgeons, hospital administrators, and pharmaceutical executives mingled under crystal chandeliers, celebrating the annual Medical Excellence Awards. From my position at the back of the room, I could see my family at their prime table near the stage, the table I hadn't been invited to join. "Sorry, Emma," my sister Grace had said earlier, adjusting her designer gown. "No space at the family table. You understand, right? Dad's moment and all." Dad's moment. The Lifetime Achievement Award for Surgical Excellence. The crown jewel in Dr. James Harrison's already illustrious career. And somehow there wasn't room for his eldest daughter at the family table. My phone buzzed, a message from Marcus, my chief of staff. "Everything's set. Award committee received the final documentation. Ready." I smiled, thinking about the sealed envelope on the podium. The one containing a name that would shock everyone in this room, especially my family. "Dr. Harrison." A photographer called out, gathering my family for yet another photo. Family picture. I watched as Grace, her husband Bradley, Dad's chosen protégé, and my younger brother Michael clustered around our father. Mom adjusted her pearls, beaming with practiced perfection. No one seemed to notice or care that the family photo was missing a member. "Emma," a familiar voice called softly. Dr. Sarah Chin, head of the award committee, approached with a knowing smile. "Everything's prepared. Though I must say, keeping this secret has been the hardest thing I've done in my career." "Harder than pioneering robotic surgery?" I teased, thinking about the research we'd collaborated on, research my family knew nothing about. "Much harder," she laughed. "Especially since your father's been so confident about tonight's outcome." Confident. That was one way to put it. Dad had practically written his acceptance speech the moment he'd been nominated. After all, who else could possibly deserve this honor more than the great Dr. James Harrison? "Emma." Bradley spotted me, his smile faltering slightly. "I didn't know you were coming. Grace said you had a prior commitment." "Changed my plans," I replied smoothly, enjoying how he shifted uncomfortably in his custom tuxedo, the one Dad had bought him as a future son-in-law gift. Couldn't miss this historic moment. Bradley glanced at my simple black gown, elegant but understated, hiding the fact it cost more than his entire wardrobe. "Well, try not to disturb anything. Your father's very particular about how this evening should go." "Oh, I wouldn't dream of disturbing things," I assured him, thinking about the folders hidden in my clutch. "Tonight will definitely go exactly as planned." My phone buzzed again, this time from Dr. Chen's assistant. "Press is ready. Major network standing by. Live stream prepared." Perfect. Because this wasn't just about an award. This was about revealing 3 years of work that would revolutionize modern surgery. Work that had been happening right under my family's dismissive noses. "Ladies and gentlemen," the MC announced, "please take your seats. The presentation of the Lifetime Achievement Award will begin shortly." I watched my family settle at their table, surrounded by Dad's colleagues and admirers. Grace was already practicing her proud daughter smile for the cameras. Michael was probably planning which reporters to schmooze with afterward. "Your seat is ready," Dr. Chin whispered, gesturing to a hidden spot near the stage. "Though you won't be there long." The lights dimmed as video screens came to life, showing career highlights of the nominees. Dad sat straighter as his segment began. 40 years of surgical innovation, thousands of lives saved, dozens of awards. "A true pioneer," the narrator intoned. "Dr. James Harrison's contributions to cardiovascular surgery have set the standard for excellence." I could see Dad nodding along, probably mentally rehearsing his speech. The speech that would never be delivered. "And now," the MC returned to the podium, "to present the Lifetime Achievement Award, please welcome Dr. Sarah Chin, head of the International Surgical Innovation Committee." Dr. Chin approached the podium, her eyes finding mine in the darkness. "Tonight we honor not just past achievements but the future of medicine. The intersection of traditional surgical excellence and revolutionary technology." Dad's smile faltered slightly. This wasn't the introduction he'd expected. "Our recipient," Dr. Chin continued, "has spent the last 3 years developing a groundbreaking system that combines artificial intelligence with robotic surgery. A system that will make advanced procedures accessible to hospitals worldwide." Grace leaned over to Bradley, whispering, That's not Dad's research. What's going on? A system, Dr. Chin smiled, reaching for the envelope, that has already saved over 500 lives in pilot programs across 3 continents. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lifetime Achievement Award for Surgical Excellence goes to... I stood up, straightening my jacket, ready to step into the spotlight and show my family exactly what their forgotten daughter had been doing while they were busy planning Dad's victory party. Dr. Emma Harrison, Dr. Chin announced, her voice echoing through the suddenly silent ballroom. The spotlight found me as I walked toward the stage, each click of my heels echoing in the stunned silence. From the corner of my eye, I could see my family's expressions morphing from confusion to disbelief. Impossible, I heard Grace hiss. There must be a mistake. But there was no mistake. The screens above the stage now displayed my work. The AI-driven surgical system that could perform complex procedures with unprecedented precision. 3 years of secret development, testing, and successful operations, all while my family thought I was just managing a small research lab. Thank you, Dr. Chin. I spoke into the microphone, my voice steady despite the emotions churning inside. And thank you to the committee for recognizing that innovation sometimes comes from unexpected places. The screens shifted to show live feeds from hospitals across the globe, where my system was currently assisting surgeries. What you're seeing, I continued, is the future of medicine. Surgeries being performed simultaneously in Delhi, Lagos, and Rio de Janeiro, places that previously lacked access to specialized surgical care. Dad's face had turned an interesting shade of pale. This was supposed to be his moment, his achievement. Instead, his eldest daughter, the one they'd written off as lacking ambition, was announcing a medical breakthrough that would eclipse anything he'd ever done. The Harrison Chin surgical system, I explained, nodding to Dr. Chin, combines advanced AI with robotic precision. But more importantly, it makes complex procedures accessible to hospitals that can't afford to maintain large surgical teams. Bradley was frantically flipping through his phone, probably searching for information about my project. He'd find nothing, we'd kept it under wraps until this moment. 3 years ago, I continued, my eyes finding my father's, I approached Dr. Chin with an idea. An idea that many traditional surgeons dismissed as impossible. But sometimes, the best innovations come from those willing to challenge conventional wisdom. The screens showed more footage, successful surgeries, grateful patients, lives saved in places my father had never even considered visiting. While he'd been building his reputation in prestigious hospitals, I'd been working to make advanced surgery available to everyone. Emma, Mom's voice carried across the quiet room, why didn't you tell us? I smiled, thinking of all the family dinners I'd missed while working late in the lab. The ones they'd assumed I skipped because I couldn't handle their success stories. I tried, I replied, my voice carrying clearly. Every time I mentioned my research, I was told to leave the real medicine to the real doctors. So I decided to let the results speak for themselves. The silence in the room was deafening. My family sat frozen as their carefully constructed narrative of the successful surgeon father, his brilliant protégé son-in-law, and his properly ambitious younger children crumbled around them. And now, I continued, pressing a button that activated live feeds from even more hospitals, I'm pleased to announce that the Harrison Chin system is being implemented in 500 additional facilities worldwide. By this time next year, we expect to have helped over 1 million patients who would otherwise lack access to specialized surgical care. Grace's face had turned from shock to calculation, probably already planning how to spin this to her advantage. But she was too late. The press was already running with the story. Unknown Harrison daughter revolutionizes global surgery. Of course, I added, allowing myself a small smile. None of this would have been possible without my family's unique motivation style. Being told repeatedly that I wasn't Harrison material gave me the freedom to pursue innovations that traditional surgeons might have considered too risky. Dad flinched. How many times had he said those exact words? How many times had he dismissed my ideas as impractical or naive? And special thanks, I continued, my voice taking on just a hint of steel, to those who didn't save me a seat at tonight's family table. Sometimes the best view is from the stage. The rest of the evening unfolded like a carefully choreographed dance of karma. As I stepped down from the stage, reporters swarmed, their questions coming rapid fire. Dr. Harrison, How does it feel to surpass your father's achievements? Was this a deliberate secret from your family? Will you be taking over your father's position at Metropolitan Hospital? That last question made Dad's head snap up. He didn't know yet that Metropolitan's board had already approved the installation of my system, effectively making his traditional surgical program obsolete. Emma, Grace approached, her smile now sickeningly sweet. Why didn't you tell your dear sister about all this? We could have helped promote your work. Like you promoted my research 3 years ago? I replied quietly. When you told the hospital board I wasn't ready for the innovation grant? Her smile faltered. She hadn't known I'd discovered her interference, or that it had led me to seek private funding, ultimately making me independent of the family's influence. Dr. Emma, Dr. Chin called out, rescuing me from Grace's attempted damage control. The WHO representatives would like to discuss implementing your system in developing nations. I watched my family's expressions change as they realized what this meant. While they'd been focused on maintaining their prestigious positions in top American hospitals, I'd been building a global healthcare revolution. Actually, I smiled at the WHO team, we've already begun installations in 50 countries. Would you like to see the live results? My phone buzzed, a message from Marcus. Metropolitan Board meeting moved to tomorrow. They want to discuss complete integration of the Harrison system. Bradley appeared at my elbow, his charm cranked to maximum. Emma, dear, perhaps we should discuss incorporating your system into my department? As your father's successor. Oh, Bradley, I interrupted softly, haven't you heard? Metropolitan is restructuring its surgical department. They're shifting to an AI-integrated approach. Your position is being redefined. The color drained from his face. But James promised. Dad promised a lot of things, I agreed. But the board makes the final decisions. And they're very interested in systems that can perform 10 surgeries simultaneously with 0 fatality rates. Mom approached next, her society smile firmly in place. Darling, we should celebrate as a family. I'll plan a dinner. Sorry, Mom, I checked my schedule on my phone. I'm flying to Geneva tomorrow. UN Health Summit. Then Tokyo for the Asian Medical Conference. But I'm sure Dad's celebration dinner will be lovely. Pie celebration dinner? Dad finally spoke, his voice rough. You won this award. The award I've worked 40 years for. 40 years of traditional surgery, I nodded. While I spent 3 years making surgery available to people who could never afford your services. Quality healthcare shouldn't be a luxury, Dad. Wasn't that what you taught us? Or did that only apply to patients who could pay your fees? The reporters were eating it up. The family drama, the technological revolution, the democratization of advanced healthcare. Tomorrow's headlines would rewrite the Harrison medical legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus announced, Dr. Emma has a video conference with the European Medical Association. If you'll excuse us. As I turned to leave, Michael grabbed my arm. Just wait. All this time when we thought you were just running a small research lab. I was building the future, I finished for him. Amazing what one can accomplish without the weight of family expectations. The screens above still showed live feeds of surgeries being performed by my system. Each successful operation was another crack in my father's carefully constructed dynasty. Oh, and Grace. I called over my shoulder. About that family table. I won't need a seat anymore. I prefer building my own tables. The aftermath of the awards ceremony unfolded across medical journals and social media. While my family scrambled to maintain their reputation, I was being hailed as the future of medical innovation. Emma, Dad caught up with me as I was leaving, his voice lacking its usual authority. We need to talk about this. About Metropolitan, about the family practice. The practice you said I wasn't qualified to join? I turned to face him. Or the one you promised to Bradley because he understood traditional values. Behind him, I could see Grace and Bradley in heated discussion with hospital board members who had attended the ceremony. Their perfectly planned future, Bradley taking over Dad's position, Grace managing the practice's social connections, was unraveling in real time. You don't understand, he insisted. Everything I did to maintain our family's medical standards. No, Dad, I cut him off gently. You did it to maintain your control. But medicine isn't about control anymore. It's about accessibility, innovation, and giving everyone a chance at quality care. My phone buzzed again, another message from Marcus. Gates Foundation wants to partner. Full funding for global implementation. Mom appeared, her social grace starting to crack. Emma, darling, surely we can discuss this as a family. Perhaps combine your system with your father's expertise. Mom, I sighed, my system just performed its 10,000th successful surgery. Tonight. While we've been standing here talking. How many surgeries has Dad performed this year? The numbers spoke for themselves. While Dad operated on one patient at a time, my system was saving lives across multiple continents simultaneously. But the personal touch, Bradley interjected, still trying to salvage his position. The doctor-patient relationship is enhanced by my system, I completed. Every surgery includes local medical teams. We're not replacing doctors, Bradley. We're multiplying their capabilities. Something you'd know if you'd bothered to read my research papers. Grace made one last attempt. Sister dear, perhaps we could discuss this over brunch tomorrow? I know several investors who'd be interested. Those would be the same investors who declined my initial proposals? I smiled. The ones you told I was just going through a phase? They've been calling my office all week, but I'm afraid my dance card is full. The grand ballroom was emptying now, but the impact of the evening would reverberate through the medical community for years to come. My family stood there, watching as their carefully constructed hierarchy crumbled beneath the weight of progress. Dr. Emma, one of the WHO representatives approached. Your car is ready. The Secretary General is expecting our video call in an hour. I turned to my family one last time. You know what the ironic part is? All those times you told me I wasn't Harrison material. You were right. I'm not. I'm something entirely new. Dad's face showed a mix of emotions, pride fighting with frustration, realization battling with regret. Emma, please. The family legacy is evolving, I finished. The Harrison name will still be associated with medical excellence, Dad. Just not the kind you planned. As I walked away, I heard Grace's desperate whisper to Bradley, call your contacts at Metropolitan. There must be some way to stop this. Too late, I called back without turning. The board voted unanimously this morning. The Harrison system begins installation next week. Oh, and Bradley? Do try to keep up with the training sessions. The AI can be quite demanding. The night air was cool as I stepped out of the Ritz-Carlton. Behind me, the ballroom that was supposed to host my father's crowning achievement instead witnessed the birth of medical revolution. Where to? Marcus asked as the car door opened. The lab, I replied. We have 1 million more lives to save.